Noah was halfway through a reheated slice of pizza when he saw him. An old man. In his father's chair. The dining room had been quiet for weeks, since the day they lost Captain Rayhan Malik to lung cancer. His mother kept the room spotless, like a museum of grief. The chair at the head of the table? Untouched. Unclaimed. It wasn't just furniture. It was memory, and nobody dared sit in it. But now, there he was. A stranger in a faded jacket. Rough hands. Weathered eyes. Sitting like he'd done it 100 times before, yet still respectful, almost reverent. Noah froze in the doorway. "Excuse me," he said with all the attitude a grieving 17-year-old could carry. "Can I help you?" The man looked up slowly, calm, collected. "No, son," he replied. "I'm just visiting. Your father invited me." Noah's jaw clenched. "My father's dead." Behind him, a voice broke the tension. His mother. "Noah, this is Elias." He turned. "Who?" "Your father's old friend," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "He asked him to come if something ever happened." Noah stared at the man, at Elias, who now stood from the chair quietly, as if understanding its weight. A stranger, sent by his dead father? He didn't like it. Didn't want it. Because what right did anyone have to sit in that chair? Elias didn't speak much. He didn't preach, didn't ask questions, didn't try to fill the void left behind by Noah's father. He simply existed. He fixed the front porch light that hadn't worked in months. Patched the leaky faucet. Folded laundry without being asked. But most of all, he listened. He listened to the creaking floorboards like they whispered secrets. He stood by the bookshelf long after the lights went out, fingers brushing the spines like they held old memories. Noah, full of teenage fire and fatherless fury, hated it. He skipped dinner. Slammed doors. Blasted music through his headphones to drown out the quiet that Elias carried with him like a second skin. But Elias never snapped. Never shouted. Until one evening, Noah finally exploded. "Stop pretending you knew him better than I did," he yelled from across the living room. "You don't belong here. You're not part of this family." Elias stood still for a moment. Then walked over to the hallway closet. Pulled out a box wrapped in an old army duffel. He placed it gently on the table and opened it. Inside, letters. Photos. Journals. A watch engraved with initials. And one final envelope, Noah's name written in his father's handwriting. Tears welled up before Noah could even open it. His father's voice echoed from the page. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't stay. I asked Elias to come, not to replace me, but to remind you of who we are. He knew me before I was your father. He knew the boy I used to be, and the man I became." Noah's hands trembled. His throat closed. His father hadn't left him alone. In the days that followed, Noah began watching Elias with new eyes. He saw how Elias carried grief in silence, not like a burden, but like an old photograph folded into his pocket. He saw how his mother smiled again when Elias shared stories of dusty boots, midnight patrols, and how his father used to sneak mangoes during base camp meals. They weren't just war buddies. They were brothers. Elias started teaching Noah simple things: how to change oil, how to build a fire, how to cook eggs without burning the pan. Not as lessons. Just as moments. Like small gifts passed quietly from one man to another. One night, during a storm, the power went out. Noah panicked. His father had always handled this. But Elias calmly lit a candle, pulled out a deck of cards, and said, "Let me teach you your dad's favorite game." That night, in candlelight, they laughed. For the first time in months, they laughed. Weeks turned into months. Elias never overstayed, never took up space. But every Thursday, like clockwork, he came for dinner, still sitting in the same chair. Not to replace someone, but to keep a promise alive. On Noah's graduation day, he looked out into the crowd, saw Elias standing quietly in the back. Not clapping wildly, not cheering, just smiling, eyes filled with pride. Because sometimes a father's love doesn't end, it just finds another vessel to carry it forward. Seedling, because some men don't need to be loud to be unforgettable. Some just need a chair, a promise, and the silence to say everything.